How's it going, guys? Welcome back again. I'm going to start doing a couple of these videos just on traces and where to use them and kind of what you can target with them. A big thanks to Damien Brown and Will Cleary in the Sea Fishing Ireland page or group that asked for the video. It's going to be a tree hook flapper, and this is a super versatile rig. You can use it loads of places, and I'm going to show you it now. So this is just a shortened down version in order to show it properly on the camera. It's only about 3.5 feet. So it's very simple, like I said, a tree hook flapper, and I'm just going to show you the pieces you need to make this rig. So what you want is a swivel for the top of your trace. Now this needs to be a heavy swivel. You need 3 swivels for your snoods. Some clear beads I like to use. These are 3mm from Gemini. Some 3mm crimps as well, and you have your bottom, which is a Gemini clip. Now for the snoods, I'll go over that a bit more in a minute, but you have the bait stops and a sequin. I'll get to them in a while. So we'll go back to the main part. The tools you need are, you don't really need this, but it's for pulling knots, very handy. Crimpers for obvious reasons, and clippers for your clips. So the first thing you'll do, I like to put on my pieces first, and you want to have a swivel, a bead and a crimp, and you want to get it like this, and then you're going to put the 3 of them on, obviously. So as for dimensions, you can make these as long or as short as you wish. Anything under about 3 feet is really asking for trouble. Anything longer than around 7 or 8 feet is really asking for trouble, in my opinion. Other guys will disagree. So what I like to do is, I always like to leave a few inches, maybe 2.5, 3 inches between this top swivel and the top snood. Now the reason for this is, when you're casting and things, this goes back up like so, and you don't want it wrapping around. Whereas if it's stuck to it, I find it wraps around again a lot. Now the other reason for it is, I've copied it off of guys that are far more experienced than me. The likes of Ashley Sampson there, JP Malloy, a few more lads might actually shed a bit of light on why they do that. But all I know is, when the top guys are doing it, you copy the top guys. So that's what I did. So moving on, your snood then, you don't want your top snood and your middle snood to be able to touch. Now the idea behind this is that they won't get tangled. Now sometimes I do let them overlap, but again, it's best practice not to bother. Then you get to your bottom. Again, I see a lot of the top guys leave an inch or 2 at the bottom. Some guys like to press it onto it. I always used to, but again, through fishing the big competitions, I saw the top guys always left a bit of a gap. So like I said, you copy the guys that are getting the fish and getting the wins. So that's what I do now, from now on. So you want to have your bottom snood, and you want to take into account where your lid is going to be, and make sure that your bottom snood actually goes below where your lid is. So as you'll see here, the lid would be here, and the bottom snood would be 2 or 3 inches at least below it. Now often people make the bottom snood about a half longer than the middle snoods again. So as I said, this is just a demonstration one, but what I like to go with is 6 foot and then 1.5 foot for the snoods. That gives plenty of space, and it's very versatile. Now Damien was saying he fishes Kells and Ross Bay beaches, so a trace like this is very effective. I like to use a 60 pound main body when I'm using this trace for the surf beaches, for bass fishing, for pleasure fishing. If it was a competition, I might drop it down lighter to get the smaller fish, but when pleasure fishing, you're not going to be after the real small fish. So just the lines that I use for this, and the ones I recommend for Kells and Ross Bay for your pleasure fishing, is 60 pound body, which is the main body of the trace, and a 15 pound like Amnesia, or this is Asso Oblivion, and this is actually the Asso Classic. Now some guys really get bogged down in which line is the best, which line is this and that and the other thing. The main reason that I favour Asso Classic is, look at the size of that spool. And there's no way I'm going to buy another line until that's used. But it's good line, it is good line. But I did buy it on purpose. But don't get too bogged down on what line it is. Just a 60 pound line will do you. A 15 pound Amnesia, you can't go wrong. And like I said, these are size 1 hooks. That they're very for bass, for big flounders, rays, dogs. A size 1 Camazan will do the trick for you. And then once you get your base built up, you can start to experiment with all different ones. So that's the 3 hook flapper, and I hope it helps. So what you want is your crimp, your bead, your snood swivel, which is always going to be a bit smaller than the main one, your bead, crimp. This is going to be a bit slow, but most of you guys will know this already. So I'm just going to fly through the last pieces. Like I said, I'm going to do a few of these ones now, hopefully, over the next week or so during the lockdown. God knows we've nothing else to be doing, but cases are dropping, so hopefully everybody will get back to normal soon enough. So that's the last one. And a tray like this is always very handy because it stops them flying all over the place. Now a few will fall, but just have to be careful and pick them up after. So I'm just going to use a simple knot at the end, a blood knot or grinner knot, and this is where the tire comes in. I'd add a little bit of saliva usually here, and that's where this comes in. It saves your hands an awful lot. Cheap nail clippers will do the trick. So you end up like so, which is all your components in, and remember, come down, and there's no set distance here, down a little bit. I like to do, like I said, some of the top guys will be able to tell you maybe why, what the thinking is behind that. Like I said, all I know is when you see the top guys doing it, you copy the guys that are winning, and they consistently get fish. And you can add your own changes to these as you go. Now when you're crimping, make sure that you don't crimp it too tightly. And I'll show you a nice trick here now for when I'm doing my middle. So I always crimp the top one and the bottom one first. And then when I want to get the middle, I hold the 2 crimps together and slide it down. And that way then I always have the middle ground for my middle snood. Now you can experiment with up and down of this all you want. There's no real rules against it, and if it doesn't work, then just don't tell anyone about it. But experimentation is how all these things came to be in the first place. So don't be afraid to do that. Now I was going to, like I said, tie these real fast. I'm not going to tie all the snoods onto it because you know what to do after the first one. And there you go. Take off your tag end. That's the first one. And like this is a shortened body again now, so, and you just add on the other ones as you go, and it's simple. So that's a 3 hook flapper, and I hope it helps you. Any questions, put them in the bottom.